Abby Hafez learned about Islam because she married a Muslim. Since her conversion to Islam, Abby has taken us along for the ride on her Instagram and TikTok. We got a chance to see how her journey unfolded, and it's not without an enormous amount of struggle.
I never expected that comments from Muslims would be the ones that are pushing me away from my faith, more than the hateful and Islamophobic comments.
You see, converting to Islam is easy, but adopting every single restriction in order to fully practice is one of the most difficult things a woman can do, especially a woman like Abby who cares about her femininity in the form of hair, makeup, nails, and clothes. Abby has cycled through a lot of changes because of her conversion, followed by regression and returning to the way she's always lived, which is embracing the identity and cultural norms of a Western woman. As a former Muslim convert myself, seeing her fluctuate and struggle with hijab is something I can relate to. Islam is a high control religion, and with that comes a lot of guilt from the community about the way you dress and carry yourself. There is something about this religion, this community, that makes it incredibly difficult for a woman to be herself. Abby went from wanting to be so committed to hijab to not caring if she's canceled. What happened? Let's get into it. Abby's conversion journey. Abby Hafez has had an interesting life journey so far. She grew up Christian, then converted to Islam. Her stated reasons for converting were apparently because of the October 7th attacks and the Palestinian resistance. To be honest though, when you have a Muslim husband, it's only a matter of time before you make the decision to convert. I personally don't feel like I should be the one to say she converted for a man, but all I have to say about that is I do question someone's reasons when they marry a Muslim and do not discover Islam on their own. It makes sense to naturally gravitate towards what your husband follows and show an interest in it. What I wanted to do today is go through a series of her videos from the beginning of her journey until now. I wanted to give you my perspective and analysis of what I think is happening here. Her conversion has been difficult for her. Difficult in the sense that Abby seems to have swung like a pendulum back and forth on her modesty journey, and even what she believes about the authenticity of some Islamic sources.
I just finished my prayer and I had a huge realization. The wudu, or the washing before prayer, helps us to release our attachment to worldly things. A lot of times when I go to wudu, I have a full face of makeup and I have to wash it all off while I'm doing the wudu. So recently I've been wearing less makeup just because it's so hard to keep washing off the makeup and reapplying it. So that's one thing. Second of all, the nails. Obviously, to do the wudu, you should have contact with the nails. This is the scholar's opinion. And so I don't have my nails done anymore. And this is something that I was super attached to before. Like, I would go every other week to get my nails done. And if I didn't have them done, I didn't feel complete. And now, subhanAllah, I'm here without any makeup, without anything on my nails, and I feel more at peace and more confident in myself than I ever have. And also, when we go to put the prayer dress to pray, we're covering our whole body from head to toe, besides our face and our hands. And we're just focusing on praying. We're only focusing on our connection to Allah, our spiritual self. This is so, so powerful. We're not focusing on what brands we're wearing. We're not focusing on how we look. We're not focusing on how our physical body is. We're focusing on only our soul and our heart. It is so, so powerful.
So Abby converted to Islam around November 14th, 2023. So this video was posted on January 10th, 2024, 2 months after she converted. In reality, 2 months is absolutely no time at all to accept an entirely new identity, way of life, and then fully embrace it. She's realizing the difficulty of wearing makeup and having nails only 2 months in. She notes that the scholars say this is haram, and she was super attached to her nails before. I totally get all of that. Some converts really do like the whole no nail polish thing, and they can accept this. But I personally think having nail polish on actually helps and protects your nails. It prevents them from chipping and breaking. For me, fresh polish and cuticle oil, it's a nice little pick-me-up. She says that praying helps her release attachment to makeup and nails, but Is this a feeling that will last? Because I tried that and it didn't last. It sounds like she's riding the high of Shahada and she wants to do everything correctly and right away. But any type of high is not permanent. I personally think when you make sacrifices like this, you start to miss these things. Doing nails, it's a fun part of being a woman. Here we have a video, okay? It's 8 months after her Shahada, and she says she's starting to fall in love with the hijab. I feel like I see myself when I watch some of these videos. I actually loved the hijab when I first converted. It was something new and exciting. I never thought about the level of commitment this would expect of me, which was an entire lifetime until death wearing it. One of the reasons I wanted to convert to Islam was because of how descriptive the life after death was, like the angels that question you in the grave, Munkar and Nakir. I always imagined what that day would look like, and that was enough to scare me into wanting to wear the hijab. That's a long time of worrying about my hijab blowing in the wind, getting wet in the rain, doing activities like swimming, riding roller coasters with my child, chasing my child around, or all the stares and uncomfortable feelings I get knowing everyone knew what religion I practiced. I even wondered what it might be like giving birth in a hospital and dressing modestly the whole time. A whole lifetime is a long time to be drenched in sweat from the amount of layers I was wearing in the scorching heat. Ask my husband. The other day we were walking our dog together and it was really hot outside and I was wearing this cute new sweatshirt I got from Aerie and I was dying in the heat and my husband joked I really wasn't meant to be a hijabi because of how I mind the heat. And I was thinking he's right. I was always dying being dressed in so many layers. It made me never want to leave the house. I just wanted to lay in front of the air conditioner all day. I didn't consider any of this. So many other converts made it look fashionable and easy, so I thought it must be. That's how I viewed it, but the reality was so much different. In this video, dated September 19th, 2024, which is still 8 months after she converted, Abby expresses her desire to wear the hijab.
Let's try this hijab together while I tell you the reasons why I want to wear the hijab as a non-hijabi outside of, obviously, Allah's command. So, first of all, I feel like the hijab, it just brings such a feminine look to any woman. I'm not sure how or why, but it makes you look so just feminine and like put together. Second of all, I love that someone can know that you're Muslim from the very first look, even from far away. Obviously, if you say salam alaikum to someone, then they're gonna know you're Muslim. But if you see someone from far away, you can know they're a Muslim woman if they're wearing the hijab, which is something like subhanallah, it's so beautiful. Third of all, sometimes when I say salam alaikum to someone, they don't know that I'm Muslim because I'm not wearing the hijab. And so they're like slow to repeat back to me because they're processing that I'm Muslim, you know? And it also makes me a bit more scared to say salam alaikum to people because I don't want to have that awkward moment of like, oh, you're Muslim, but you're not wearing the hijab. Like, they're not sure like what to say or like how to respond. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of them, they will respond back to me, but they'll look a little confused. And yeah. So yeah, those are some of my reasons why I want to start wearing the hijab outside of, obviously, the ayah from the Quran.
So some of her reasons are that the hijab brings a more feminine look and others being that someone can recognize you're a Muslim. You know, it really shouldn't matter how you look when you practice a religion. Listening to this reasoning now, it sounds so shallow to want to commit the rest of your life to wearing a piece of fabric on your head just to state what religion you are. Outside appearances aren't everything, and honestly, I think Abby's going to realize that soon. Also, hijab makes you less feminine, not more. Hijab often makes women's heads look like potatoes, and it messes with your self-esteem. Whenever I met sisters and they removed their hijab in front of me for the first time, I realized over and over again how much better they all looked without it. You know, this is also a lot of pressure and mental pain to put yourself through. I feel like the pressure to conform and blend into this group can be so crushing. She says that it's awkward to go out and say salam to someone and an entire conversation about not wearing hijab starts. This is not a good reason to wear the hijab, Abby. It's not a good reason to wear it for other people. This also makes me sad to hear this because I don't think it's normal to be part of a religion, and because you don't dress like everyone else, Your salams are met with, "Why don't you wear the hijab?" I feel like Muslims are so used to judging one another that they think nothing of asking someone personal questions about their body. That's really what this is. You're asking a question about their body, which is a personal thing. And honestly, this is how I began to think when I was struggling with the hijab myself and I didn't like wearing it. It's just, they're very invasive about this. They have no issue commenting on your personal body. It's very violating. That's how I would describe this. It's very violating, and it's a way of bullying you into conforming. Here's another video that she posted a few days before on September 15th, 2024, where she switches from wanting to wear the hijab to the psychological struggle of making the decision to put it on.
I've recently been struggling with the decision to put on the hijab because it just feels like such a permanent thing, and like whenever I look at a decision and it's like, this is forever, like my brain freezes, even if it's something that I want to do. I don't know how to explain, but, and then subhanAllah, I was thinking about some people who are living in the West, their family is literally so against Islam that they rip the hijab off their head, they won't let them wear the hijab. Like their only wish is to wear the hijab and be fully covered outside, and their family won't let them do that. And like they don't let them pray, they scream at them for being Muslim and like are always bullying them about it. And like subhanallah, alhamdulillah that I live in a Middle Eastern country where I can pray freely, I can wear the hijab freely as I like, and I can practice my religion as I like. And even though I'm not a hijabi yet, I definitely do not take for granted the fact that I can wear the hijab whenever I want without criticism or hate towards me where I'm living. We just kind of take these things for granted when there are so many people who want to wear the hijab and can't. So alhamdulillah, and may Allah make it easy for all of us to wear the hijab and fulfill all of Allah's commands, inshallah.
I think what she's trying to do here is rationalize her reason for not committing to the hijab now. She says, "Thank God I live in a Middle Eastern country where I can practice freely and wear the hijab whenever I want." If you are enjoying this video, we'd like you to subscribe. Already subscribed and want to help to get more views, click the thumbs up. And if you want to help me do even more, please join our community on Patreon. The link to Patreon will be in the description below. All right, thanks in advance, and back to the video. She probably feels that being in a Muslim environment, this can buy her time to decide whether or not she truly wants to do this. I think what Abby is missing here, though, is the fact that so many women in the Middle East do not get the privilege of deciding whether or not to wear the hijab. White convert privilege does exist in so many ways, and the choice to wear the hijab is one of them. By claiming she doesn't feel safe wearing it in the West, she can go without hijab in Dubai and then decide if she ever wants to become a hijabi. I'm sure in a country full of expats like Dubai, there's so many women who don't wear the hijab at all. She can still blend in, do her Muslim thing, while also buying herself time to weigh the pros and cons of becoming a hijabi. I think this is a smart way to backtrack on committing to something just for the sake of appeasing her Muslim internet audience. Remember when I said earlier she was riding the high of Shahada? Well, as we all know, no high is permanent. Eventually, the good feelings start to wear off, and you start to connect with reality again. In this next clip, we're going to see a complete change in Abby's perspective from her early days of converting.
3 controversial opinions that I have that will probably get me canceled on Muslim TikTok, but I do not care. Number 1, the only book and source of knowledge that Allah has promised to keep 100% accurate and without change is the Quran, which means anything else can be and could have been corrupted or changed in some way by humans. That includes hadith. That is why I heavily rely on the Quran, and I heavily criticize / am very careful with hadiths. Second, prayers. When you are a new Muslim and you do not understand Arabic, I think it is way more important to understand what you are saying than to be saying it in Arabic. To understand what you are saying in front of Allah and connecting to the words is the most important part, to me. Unpopular opinion. Third, nails. I've had so many people coming to me and telling me, you can't pray with nails on. You're not allowed to tell me if I can pray. Next, how do you pray with nails on? I make wudu and I pray. I hope that helps. I'm sure I'm gonna get heat in the comment sections, but I really don't care, because the thing is, the point of Islam is not all the superficial stuff. It is connecting to Allah. It is getting closer to Allah. Anyways, assalamu alaikum.
Before, it was about hijab, this and that is also beautiful, to not caring about being canceled. I mean, what does that tell you about where she's at in her journey? It's not beautiful anymore, is it? To me, it sounds like there's some hadith she has issues with and she's becoming a Quranist. I mean, who can blame her, honestly? The hadith are shocking and mortifying to lay your eyes on. It's so hard to make sense of what you were told about Islam being so peaceful and beautiful versus the moral failings of Muhammad and all of his buddies. She even goes as far to say she criticizes hadith. I mean, wow, that's really bold of her to say. But how does that work? As Lily J would say, you start entering the realm of disbelief when you go down that route.
First of all, we as Muslims have to have submission, certainty, no questions asked, no strings attached. This is Quran, I believe it. Do you fully embrace it? Yes. No questions asked. This is a hadith. Do you take it? Is it authentic? Is it?
That's what I read, yeah.
Then if it's authentic, it's from Allah. How could I be shaky? Because if you want to be shaky, this means that you don't have certainty. And when you don't have certainty, you're this close to flipping to the dark side.
In order to be a Muslim, you can't just accept the Quran. You have to accept everything. Well, I guess that's for Abby to figure out, right? Her next point is interesting. It's more important to understand what you are saying than saying it in Arabic. I can understand where she's coming from here. When I was learning how to pray, I only memorized a few short surahs. And honestly, it was more important for me to memorize the Arabic first and then the meaning of it second, because I needed to pray 5 times a day. So as long as I memorized the Arabic and I could say it 5 times a day, the meaning of what I was saying was secondary. What she's saying here is a bit of a conundrum to be in, though. While it's important to understand what the Arabic means, it's equally, if not more important, to understand how to say the Arabic, because it's the only language Allah will accept. To be honest, this had me thinking when I was a Muslim as well. In other religions, prayer is accepted freely and however you want to communicate with God. There isn't a language requirement. In Islam, your 5 daily prayers are not accepted in your native language. This is honestly burdensome to learn. It requires a lot of free time and practice to learn. Of course, you also want to be able to understand multiple surahs, not just a couple, because after a while, reciting the same surahs over and over again for years just feels as robotic and meaningless as the other parts of the prayer feel. The last part she spoke about was the nails. Again, I feel like this is also connected to the type of relationship she wants to have with God. She doesn't want to feel limited, it seems. She doesn't want to be limited by a language she doesn't speak, and she doesn't want to feel limited by wearing nails. I can't blame her for this either. It seems crazy to hear these stories about how Allah created us and everything in this world and all that He is capable of, yet draws a line at listening to us for wearing plastic nails on our fingers. I mean, if you want to put it simply, that's what fake nails are. They're thin plastic. To me, Allah seems so weak to not be able to accept prayer with something as benign as a girl with nails. So we have gone through a lot of her videos together from the beginning until now. Let's go through her most recent video in regards to her convert journey. Where did Abby finally land on the convert spectrum?
Dreading making this video. I've been feeling it for a while, and honestly, I'm just gonna say it. I feel like I have to reintroduce myself because I've just changed so much recently, and in all areas of my life, specifically also my faith and what I feel like I want to share. I feel like I spent the last year putting faith forward as the definition and the identity of who I am. And while my faith journey has been so beautiful and amazing, and I've loved sharing every moment of it with all of you, it is not all that I am. And I think I got very stuck in the idea that I had to stay within this definition of who I am, and I started to feel like I wasn't being authentic to who I am because I was sharing only a small portion of who I am with you guys. Yeah. Also, it kind of got to a point where I felt like I was having to prove my faith through my content, or just like perform my faith in front of an audience, which is a really weird feeling. And that's why I started to kind of not feel the best about sharing such a personal part of my life. So anyways, going forward, my faith will always be my foundation, and Islam specifically has given me such peace and such hope in my heart, and I will always have that connection with Allah, and I will always have my personal faith, but I just don't think it's going to be the number one thing in my content anymore, just because I'm just moving into a new chapter in my life, and one where my faith is a bit more private, and other things are coming up that I'm feeling really excited about exploring and sharing with you all and growing with you all, hopefully, inshallah. So anyways, yeah, I'm still Muslim. I still love my faith, just moving into a different chapter of my life, you know, where faith is still my foundation, but sharing and growing other things out of that. So anyways, if you're still interested in following along, I would love that. But anyways, assalamu alaikum.
So this video was one of her most recent, and she's assuring her audience she's still a Muslim. She's just going to pivot her content. If I had to guess, she probably burned out, honestly. Initially, she thought sharing her journey would probably be able to help others and it would go well, but it hasn't. Her faith has become performative, like many converts on social media. She's been bombarded with haram police over her appearance and God knows what else. She's tried to appease people by fitting in the Islamic box they gave her, and she's realizing this simply isn't working for her. This isn't what she wants for her life. I think it's quite profound that she says faith is not her entire identity and all that she is. I mean, to many Muslims, their faith is everything. I get what she means in a sense, like she has other interests and things about her that make her who she is. But from my perspective, Muslims are absolutely obsessed with living this life for the next. That's why so many wear the hijab out of fear and remove their fake nails. Prayer is the most important thing a Muslim does every single day, so much that they revolve their lives around praying 5 times. I have seen Muslims praying in truck stops outside. For her to say that Islam is not everything anymore, that's pretty interesting to me. That's all I'm going to say about that. I will give Abby credit where credit is due. She's not a grifter at all. She's a woman that got married into a different culture and religion, became a mom, and thought that sharing her journey was something that would bring good to her life, but she realizes it's not what she imagined. That's fine. She's not trying to grift and profit off of Islam. She's willing to stay true to who she is and tell her audience, look, if you want to stay, that's fine. If you don't want to stay, that's also fine, because I'm not performing my faith online like a monkey anymore. I'm going to do things my way. In conclusion, Abby Hafez has had a wild journey into Islam up until now, and we can see how things started out versus where she's at now. She realized that being true to herself meant more to her than complying with what Muslims and Islam expects of her. The fact that Abby is allowed to express herself in this way and make decisions not to wear the hijab is suggestive of what kind of husband she has. She may be one of the lucky few, very lucky few, who married a man that won't force anything on her. I wish the best for her, but honestly, the best would mean that she realizes that Islam is false and leaves it behind, especially since she has a daughter. Islam is not easy to practice. It's easy to enter, but not easy to practice, and most certainly not easy to leave the more entangled you become in it, such as getting married and having kids. If you like this kind of content, hit the like and subscribe button. In order to bring videos like this into existence, your support on Patreon is invaluable. If you want to support our work covering women's issues in Islam, convert stories, and other social issues with Islamic sources, click the link in the subscription to join us below. Any amount you give makes a huge difference, honestly, even if it's just $5 a month. We also have a PayPal option available now. Leave Islam behind. Life is better and more beautiful without it. This is Mrs. Friendly Ex-Muslim signing out.